Yeah, just everybody that's watching, this is Glenn from the Ethical Butcher. Glenn has provided us with the chouquetta, the lemon Zatar. I'm not sure how you pronounce it properly,
That's
but
perfect.
Zatar
Yeah.
whole rolled chicken. We've got fired up and away on the barbecue there, and it's looking very special. Very, very juicy bird. It's quite big, but yeah.
Yeah. We made up the weight, so that's a whole bird boned out, but then there is some diced thigh in the middle to kind of give it a bit more kind of weight, so it didn't cook too quickly for you.
Okay. Yeah, no, it smells wonderful, and then I've tried all of the separate ingredients as well. Here we go. Here, perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about the ingredients that went into it. This is is it lemon curd? What do you call it?
No, it's not lemon curd. So it's like a North African, the bright yellow one on the left there. It's a North African way of salt curing lemon. So it's like a semi-fermented cured lemon, and then it's blended with fresh turmeric, ginger, and garlic. And the other ingredient is a Zatar spice mix. And Zatar is a very, very well used kind of Middle Eastern, Northern African spice mix, which is thyme, marjoram, oregano. It can be any of those, sesame, and the important thing in there is sumac, which is a very tangy, almost kind of blackcurranty kind of flavor. And that Zatar mix is used on lots of things. I mean, it's just fantastic on a flatbread. It's obviously great with chicken or fish, but that provides like the kind of herbal flavor to the tangier lemon. But it goes well, huh?
Definitely. And then this here is the paste, is it? That's made from the two, is it? Is that how it works?
That's exactly it. So I sent you the two ingredients separate, and then the third, which is the paste, which is the blend of the two things. Yeah.
Okay, so with the lemon paste here, what we're going to do there is we're going to add that with some oh my gosh, it slipped my mind now. I need the magic ingredient to help me out here. But yeah, with some polenta, that's right.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
And that'll go with the chicken, so we're going to reuse that. We're going to keep the herbs here, and we'll spice that with something else a little bit later on, maybe some chicken again during the week, and then the paste. Oh, we'll think of something magic to do with it. That could be really nice on chicken wings or something, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean it's strong and it's tangy. You could try doing all kinds of things with it. I've barely experimented with it myself, but yeah, tell me how you get on. I'll be really interested to know.
Okay. As well as that, it's quite juicy, the chicken as well. We've got it cooking here in the bath.
Yeah, so that chicken, that's not ordinary chicken, as I'm sure you'll gather, because it's coming from us. So that is Soy Free Chicken, and what we mean by soy free is that the chicken has had no soy in its diet. And this was kind of an innovation that we did as the Ethical Butcher, and it was quite a surprisingly tricky thing to do because we were talking to a lot of growers who said, there are certain key stages of development where chickens need the amino acids that are in soy. But obviously there are serious ethical considerations with the use of soy, even though it's the seed meal given to animals, which is after they make oil for humans that it's fed to animals. So it's a bit of a controversial subject, but soy is grown to produce oil, and the oil is 4 times more valuable than what's left afterwards. But what's left after it still has a value, and it's fed to animals. And obviously, soy doesn't really grow in the UK in any significant quantities, so it's coming from Brazil and America. And one of the big problems that I see with soy above other crops is that it is generally, unless it's organic, it's a genetically modified organism. And it's genetically modified to be resistant to glyphosate, and glyphosate is Roundup weed killer. So these huge areas of land where GMO soy is growing are just, they're sprayed with glyphosate to remove all the competition for the soy. And it's a really damaging substance. There's a lot of issues around that in terms of how it affects the soil microbiome and then how that affects our health. So I was really determined that the chicken that we sold as the Ethical Butcher should have no soy at all in the feed. We worked with a very forward-thinking farmer who is actually a beef farmer, and he got the chickens to follow his beef cattle through a rotational grazing system. So they're picking up some of their nutrition from eating plants, eating the bugs, eating dung beetles, eating worms. And they're basically helping to accelerate the recycling of nutrition from the cows by digging through the manure and moving every single day onto new land. And because we were doing this, we was able to give them less feed, and we was able to replace the soy in their feed because they're getting protein from other sources. So it's an innovation we're very proud of. And they're incredibly slow grown. So they're between 80 and 101 days, depending on the time of year. And you get that lovely kind of rich, almost gamey, almost oily kind of flavor out of chicken that's completely different to, the styrofoam kind of supermarket version that she's just grown too quickly.
Definitely. I mean, I notice it when I've been preparing the chicken for the barbecue. It just feels plumper. It feels sort of a more solid chicken. It feels much more a solid meat, a beefy sort of meat, And it, just cooking it here, it might be hard to see where you are, but there's actually a lot of juices there, which
there'll be a lot of oil that comes out, like a lot more than you would get from a sort of traditionally reared chicken.
Yeah. It looks like a beautifully reared bird. It's grown to an age where it can really, really mature. So and develop properly, so that the meat is proper. Is my understanding from my simple Instagram world, mate. But, so the ethical butcher, you're not just about chickens. You also get involved.
No,
in lamb.
Absolutely not. Yeah, so it took us a while to even have chicken because it took me a while to find a farmer who could provide us with the kind of chicken that I'd be happy with. But we launched just over a year ago. We're a mail order business, so we deliver overnight to the entire country. But what makes us different to other online butchers is how we source and how strict we are about sourcing. And we're trying to source everything from regenerative agriculture. So that means the farmers are using their animals, whether it's pigs, chickens, lamb, or beef, in a system that is going to improve biodiversity and essentially help repair soil. Okay.
Nice. And then how do you qualify a farmer for regenerative farming? Do you do a checklist? Do you inspect the places?
Yeah, we go and visit everybody. We go and visit everyone who becomes a supplier eventually. I've got a bit of a backlog of people to go and see because of lockdown, but there are certain organizations that the farmers can kind of sign up to. One of them is the Pasture-Fed Livestock Association. So that will guarantee that a farmer is only feeding grazing animals, pasture, and no grains and no other feed. So that would be like a good starting point. So we'll look at guys who are certified there and then see we'll speak to the people that have done holistic management training, people who are doing, biodiversity audits or measuring the soil carbon. And really it's just a case of, talking to the farmers and visiting them and saying, what are you doing to regenerate the land? What methods are you putting into place to leave the land that you're a steward of in a better shape than how you found it? And how can you prove it? How can you prove it year after year? Someone's just asking, do we partner with other ethical brands? Yes, we do. A little bit. We've partnered with, for example, an ethical wood brand for cooking on. We've partnered with, I think we sell a product called Mellow Yellow rapeseed oil because it's carbon neutral. And we're always up for collaborating with other brands. We did some lovely collaborations with Borough Wines because they're really an amazing wine brand who are really trying to up their game in terms of sustainability and regeneration. So yeah, Emma, the answer to that is definitely.
Thank you from Emma, I think. Yeah.
Any ethical wines? Yeah, I mean, we have done in the past, and I'm always up for any further collaborations with ethical wines. I mean, wine and meat, what's not to love, right?
Well, but yeah, definitely wine. Our wine sponsor is come in with a organic wine. Where are they here? Chile. Chilean organic wine here, so they chose especially to go with the Chouquetta as well. So, and also organic wine as well. So they're out there. What else? What else have you got coming up? What else do you guys get involved in then? And what else are you looking at it?
Sorry, Hilary, I've kind of lost you there. You've kind of frozen. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what are you guys coming up in the future then? You guys have done an amazing job to get started. What are you what's coming up next?
Well, the most important thing now really is expansion. So we've grown very, very quickly. We launched 3 weeks before the very first lockdown, and who knew that there were going to be 2 more after that. But we've grown out of the space that we're in. We've grown very quickly. We've launched a burger brand called Ground Burger, and something very exciting is that we are sourcing the burgers from one farm, and we're looking at getting that farm assessed for carbon. So the aim is to do a full carbon measurement of carbon in and carbon out, because the farmer who's supplying our burgers is really, really on it with regenerative agriculture. He's converting a lot of quite depleted arable fields into pasture. So there's going to be huge gains to be had in terms of increasing biodiversity and putting a lot of carbon from the air back into the soil. So what I really want to know is I really want some hard data. I want some hard data to say, is it possible to produce beef in this country that's carbon negative? So that's something that I'm really looking into hard at the moment. Okay.
It sounds really interesting what you're doing. It sounds well beyond sort of butchery, just basic butchery and meat supply. It sounds like you.
Well, I'm not a butcher. I don't cut meat. Somebody else does that. I'm the kind of co-founder, and I do the marketing and the messaging. My background is advertising and that sort of world. And I'm coming at this with a fresh set of eyes because I only started eating meat again after 25 years of vegetarianism. I started eating meat again 6 years ago. So I've kind of approached the whole industry with a very open book. And when I founded the business, I thought, how do I want to buy my meat, and what do I want the impact of my own purchasing to be? And that's kind of how I founded the business, really, with my business partner who has the experience within the meat industry.
Okay, yeah. Also, I mean, I haven't met your business partner yet. I've sort of seen him electronically, etc. How's he? What's his role? Is he on the cutting side?
No, I mean he's not a butcher either. Again, he's a businessman. So, but he worked at Smithfield Market. He studied law. He ended up working at Smithfield Market for many years, really learning the trade from the inside. So he's worked on the sort of finance and accountancy side of the meat industry, credit control, in and out logistics. And before we set up the Ethical Butcher, he was running a very successful business-to-business supplying restaurants. But he was supplying conventionally reared meat to the restaurant trade, buying from the market. And he was just sort of ready to do something that had a positive impact on the world and to kind of change the focus of his business. So we're still supplying restaurants. Some of the restaurants don't know that they're getting completely organic and 100% grass-raised meat, but that's what they're getting from us.
Okay, well they must recognise the quality of the meat and the flavour of the meat. Otherwise, they would be buying it. They're not. They're buying quality, I say, and the flavour.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's really interesting is, as post-lockdown, we see a lot of restaurants are starting to kind of reopen, but a lot of them are kind of starting with new concepts. And previously, we found it very hard to get ethical meat into the restaurant trade because the prices were too high for them. But now that we've built up quite a successful brand, the restaurants are coming to us saying, I don't mind paying. I want the good stuff. I want the ethical stuff, and I want to put your name next to it, because I think this this last year of lockdown, it's created a lot of people just have a real think about impact and and consumerism and where we're going with it all. So I'm hoping that it will drive the catering, the kind of industrial side of things more towards sustainability. Okay, yeah. No, I've started to see that more and more in restaurants and on menus. That
list the supplier of the meat, etc., that comes with it. And look, if I ever see a restaurant that features the ethical butcher, you know, I'm there. And if anything ever comes up, then, you know, feel free. We'll promote it for you as well. You know?
Thank you very much. No, I'm always going to hit you up when we're doing new stuff, of course. No, that's great. Somebody just asked, how do we get our story out there? Well, because we're a digital online business, a lot of the communication we have with our customers is digital, whether that be through our website. I write a lot of blog posts on the website. They then get turned into Facebook and Instagram posts, and we have a very vibrant community on social media. We get a lot of traffic actually from vegans who find our page either from two angles, either from thinking that because we're called the After Butcher, they expect us to be selling fake meat products, or they actually just are curious as to why we think we're called the After Butcher. And so we generally, if people aren't being abusive or they're being, you know, we'll engage with people fully. We'll happily discuss all the gray areas of ethics, morality, environment, meat eating, science. And the really interesting thing is, all of this stuff, to me, it's all about gray areas. You know, nobody is 100% right and nobody is 100% wrong. And I love having these discussions about how we can continually improve and think more about what we're doing and improve, actually, basically. Yeah, just improve our impact.
Perfect. No, it's part of what I do. I'm not quite the subject matter expert as yourself, but part of what I do is I just want people to understand where their food comes from. You know, understand that it did come from an animal at some stage, or you know, it came from a farm, and that all of the people and everywhere involved in between, you know, they're not doing it for, you know, pardon me, they're doing it for good reasons in general. You know, if you find good meat and good farmers, you know, everybody's in it for a really good reason, and they're not, you know, we're always up for, you know, analyzing what we can do better and how we can make it better for everybody else, you know.
Absolutely. And just cut the dogma, you know, cut the black and white, you know, parts of the discussion out, and let's just, you know, start opening up discussion. And really, whatever you choose to eat, I think everybody should be looking at reducing the impact or looking for a positive impact, or maybe just every now and again accepting that what you're doing has an impact, you know, not beating yourself up over it, but trying to just make amends elsewhere, but just having a balance. But what we're trying to do is just provide a direct traceability to the meat that people are eating. So every packet of meat that someone receives from us has a QR code on it. And all you have to do to see the farm is just hover your phone over that QR code, and it'll open up a page, an interview with the farmer, all the information that anyone could ever want about how that animal was reared. And that traceability is really lacking in our industry. Yeah, too much polarization. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the oyster lady's there. Katie, the oyster lady. She's very much along the lines of what you do. She does with oysters. Oysters. When you get into the story, they're actually very positive. They're very positive.
Oh, absolutely. Oysters are one of the few seafoods that I think you could say are regenerative, because they're actually actively cleaning the water. And oysters are a really interesting thing for vegans, because they're a bivalve and there's no central nervous system. There's a lot of people who identify as vegan who will eat oysters, and it's possibly the greatest single food you can eat if you're avoiding all other animal products is oysters. And if you're getting them from somewhere sustainable, then, you know, even better. You're actually, you know, a good oyster, a sustainably sourced oyster, is going to be better for you and better for the planet than any other vegan food you can eat, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't actually realized they were vegan. So yeah, no.
I think it depends which vegan you ask, but I know I've certainly come across some vegans who would identify, you know, who would say that they will eat oysters because there is no central nervous system, there's no chance of consciousness. So have you ever tried cooking them on the barbecue?
Oh yes, we have.
Yeah. Is there anything you haven't tried cooking on the barbecue? I should have
asked. If there is, tell us.
Well, every time we get new products, we'll be letting you know. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, I can see Katie's watching this now, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. And if you know, there's something there, yeah, from her point of view, and she does some wonderful stuff with it. She does a lot to do with oysters on the barbecue that certainly I wasn't aware of. I was fairly, you know, I was oysters kill Patrick on the barbecue. That was my way. But Katie's got hundreds of recipes. She's got dessert oysters, all sorts of things. And now to realise they're vegan, that's great too. You know.
I mean, they're vegan according. You know, I think vegan's a hard thing to define. I mean, it shouldn't be, but I think, because to me, the primary tenet of veganism is to do the least harm possible. And I would argue that there are certain circumstances in which grass-fed beef falls into that category. But I think different people interpret it in different ways. So.
Okay, I'm vegan intolerant, so you know, I'm with Nuzarek. You know, he says, yeah, it's okay, we'll fix them.
No, I mean, I'm incredibly sympathetic because I didn't eat meat for 25 years. So, you know, it's, you know, yeah, I understand the mindset. I understand why people make these black and white decisions. I just don't think it's helpful to be that black and white.
It's not, I don't think. And we all have an impact. It's just how we manage that impact and what we do to sort of maybe offset that impact or just limit that impact as much as we can, you know, and collectively start to look at ways that we can make things better. To me, a properly reared piece of beef is one of the nicest things you can possibly eat, and probably one of the best for your body. And
yeah, I agree.
It's more than the chemicals and the nutrients involved. There's a whole ecosystem in there that, you know, you're absorbing and taking on that, you know, it's magic, and you have to respect that too. That, you know, an animal did a life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the great thing about, I mean, the sort of, if you want to look at it in terms of ethics, you know, the death of a single cow will provide 1,000 human meals of about 1,000 calories. You know, you get about 1 million usable calories for humans out of the death of one cow. And so if that cow's in a regenerative system where an awful lot of, yeah, sacred cow, very good, but if that cow's kept in a regenerative system where many more other animal lives are being, the environment for many more animals lives are being created through the creation of a regenerative system, then could it be argued that that is a negative number of deaths to feed us? You know, it gets very murky, this stuff, but it's certainly, there are fewer things killed per gram of usable protein and complete protein in that system than there are by, you know, monocropping a soybean field, for example. So, yeah, I find this stuff fascinating. I find this, you know, the debates on ethics and, you know, and all this stuff very, very interesting.
Okay, well, I can smell a wonderful, wonderful chicken in my barbecue right now, and I'm feeling a little bit peckish, and I'm sure it's nearly about time that it's ready. I can see a little alarm thing going off in my phone there saying alert.
Okay, is that your Bluetooth thermometer in there?
Yes, I've gone to the meter.
So what do you take chicken to? Because I usually take it to 70 and then pull it out and let it come to 74 degrees before I think it's ready.
I set it for 71, so
okay.
I'm just a little bit more. You know, I like juicy chicken, but you know,
you don't want it raw.
I don't want it raw, but yeah, and it's interesting. I think, and Jack, we mentioned it before, is because it's rolled up like this, it will heat up a lot more than it will continue to cook.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like a normal chicken would with the cavity inside, etc. So, Katie, it's Glen from the FL.
I'm Glen, Katie. Hi, nice to meet you.
On that note, I better wrap up. One last, where can people go to find more information and resources about yourself?
So, absolutely, ethicalbutcher.co.uk. Pretty easy to find. If you start on the website, you'll see all of our socials there. We've got a really engaged audience across our social channels. And to anyone who is, you know, an investor who is concerned about welfare and the environment, we are about to launch our crowdfunding campaign on the 4th of June for our business expansion. And we are qualified for EIS. So anyone who invests gets gets tax relief on their investment. And that's going live on Crowdcube on I think the 6th of June.
Okay, well, keep us in touch with that. We'll give it a bit of a promo on the site, mate.
That's very kind. Thank you. And please pardon the little plug I put in there.
Look, no worries at all, mate. No, look, the more we know and the more we look at things and the more we learn and the more places we go to, the better is the way I see it. Let people make their own calls and judgments on things, but give people the proper information to make that
Absolutely. Call. Hillary, thank you so much for having me. I hope you enjoy. Let me know. Thank you very much, Glenn. I'm looking forward to this chicken. I can already smell it in the air. It's delicious. It's one of my favorites. It's so the nice thing about this seasoning is you still can taste the chicken really. It's such a good pairing. I hope you enjoy. Okay. Have a great weekend then, mate. And thank you everybody. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.